This is weekly Bixby cleaning instructions. This process will take about 15 minutes. Right now it is 12:02, almost 12:03. We'll start. Before I begin, I just want to point out a couple things. This is a high efficiency shop vac filter. You should have one of these installed in your shop vac so that you don't get dust everywhere. First tool is the wire brush. This is used to clean the heat exchange tubes. And here we have some attachments for the shop vac that I bought at Walmart. These will come in handy, as you'll see. This is going to remove the heat deflector, and this is going to clean the burn pot. So we're going to get started now. And to start, we're going to go over here to the stove. We're going to open it up. And the stove's going to kick on because I have it powered on. And I wanted to do that because some of the vacuum is going to get sucked into the exhaust and it won't create that much dust on the outside. So to begin, I always clean off the upper burn plate. And I'm going to start with that. Next, I'm going to put an attachment on. It's going to help me clean a little better. And I usually just lightly do the window. Get inside the burn pot pretty good. And then I'll cover the heat exchanger plates. I'll clean them off briefly. I haven't cleaned this in about 2 weeks, so it's a little dirty. The next step we're going to do is take off the heat exchanger plates while leaving the shop vac on. This is so we don't create so much dust. We're going to vacuum the inside. And we're going to set it down. Same thing to the other side. Now we're going to go after the heat exchangers themselves. What we're going to do is take this cleaning rail and we're going to run it up and down about 4 or 5 times. It creates a lot of mess, so you want to keep your vacuum on. Okay, then what we're going to do is grab a different attachment and clean behind the exchanger tube. Little fine attachment here. And then we're going to go after the back of the exchanger. The tool does a great job of getting way back in and behind there. Okay, now that that part's done, we're going to remove the burn plate and clean inside there. And there's two little screws here. And what I usually do is just remove one of them. And then now you can pull off one of the burn plates. And the other one. Okay, now we want to clean inside the actual bottom of the stove here. So get inside here. Okay, so we're going to vacuum up all inside here. And let's start with that. I'm going to remove the burn pot and inspect it just to make sure there's no clogged holes. And if there is no clogged holes, I only clean this once a month. I soak it in water for about an hour and it cleans it really good. But a visual inspection will show you that all the holes are open. And we can go ahead and put this back into service and then clean it on our monthly service. So now we'll get down inside here. And there's the burn pot holes at the bottom. And we're going to clean those next after we get this all vacuumed out. Pay attention and clean this rope very good when you're vacuuming to make sure you don't leave any unevenness when you put it back on. Now let's go up into the drop tube. Vacuum that out nice and good. Okay. So that's fairly clean there. What we'll do is put the burn pot back in. It's very simple. Two little connectors. Push those back on. And then what we'll do is we'll put the plates back on. Now this is a little dirty and a little green, and this probably could go for a good soaking, but I'm not at my monthly cleanup, so I'm just going to go and put it back together. Okay, as you're putting it back together, always be sure that you try to get the gaps in the front and the back as close together as possible. That'll cause less air to come up through. So I'm just basically tightening it and pushing it together as close as I can. Okay? That's back and secure. Now what we're going to do is vacuum off the heat exchanger tubes. Sorry, not the tubes, the cover, just a little bit more before we put it back in. These have a bit of a build-up here. I probably should soak them, but because it's just a weekly cleaning, I'm not going to. But if I saw this normally and I wasn't filming this, I would take these off and soak them to get that extra off there. We're going to do the same to the other one. Okay, and here's always the fun part, putting these back in. Kind of got to have the rails almost all the way up, and there's a little slot that they fit in up there, and then you got to kind of work them in. That one went real easy. Do the same to the other side, and that one went real easy. Okay, what I do now is just clean it up a little bit better before I close it. I'm going to get a nice shot inside there so you can see how well we clean up all the ash and everything off of there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go after the burn pot holes and clean them. And then lastly, we'll clean the ashtray and clean off the glass. So I'm just going to close this for right now. And I'm going to remove the ash pan. Some clinkers from last night. Put that up there. Okay, now we're going to take this. This is what I use to clean the burn pots. You could use a drill bit or anything similar like this to clean it. Now I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to get a flashlight. Okay, and you're not going to be able to see up in here that well, but we're going to take this and we're going to poke this up through every hole. Some holes will be blocked up, and a lot of them won't be blocked up. But you want to get every single hole to make sure you get the maximum amount of air up through here. You can kind of tell where there's going to be stuff because there's usually black on the spots that are clogged up. Now some people go through the top and clean it. I always clean it from the bottom up. There's quite a few dirty ones. I think I burned this 2 weeks before I last cleaned it. Okay, that's all there is just to clean all the holes out, and we're going to vacuum up down here. Okay, now what we're going to do, my hands are a little dirty, I should have had a pair of gloves on, but what we're going to do is clean the glass off, and you'll notice how clean this gets. See how filthy it is now? What I usually do is do it twice. I put it on there, I use Windex, you could use whatever you want. And then I clean it one more time. I'm also going to clean the outside of the stove, of the window. Perfect time to do that as well. Okay, that's the inside. And here's the outside. Okay, now the last thing we do is we're going to go out and empty the ash pan drawer. And that's it for the weekly cleaning.